for a year or more. We need to announce a committee, so I should put Isabella and Canary on some committee to organize celebrations.
Where are we going this time? Because the southern part of Uganda has been cut off. We go to the north or the east?
We'll fly over. We'll find some way to go. But we want to discuss petroleum in Uganda and Uganda's dream of putting out fast oil in 2025. It's drawing closer, but many questions are being asked. Are we still actually on course? And shall we all pump out petroleum, but also refine some of it here?
NBS Frontline. This is the entry point into Hoima City, the focus of Uganda's budding oil dream. Here and in the nearby districts, 1.6 billion barrels worth of petroleum deposits have been discovered, with 1.4 billion of them recoverable. Years of planning and investment in crucial infrastructure, a robust legal framework, and scaling initiatives by government and the joint partners were finally crowned with glory following the signing of the final investment decision in February last year. But by the time Uganda reached this milestone, the Western world was beginning to lose its appetite for fossil fuels, and the war against carbon emissions is at its highest ever. Mounting pressure from local and international activists has culminated in reduced financing and investment for fossil fuels in Africa. Uganda is no exception, as some financiers for the crucial infrastructure like the planned $4 billion East African crude oil pipeline and the $4 billion refinery are reportedly developing cold feet.
Those who have money and you are hiding it, you don't want to invest in fossil fuel, you are hiding your heads in the sand. We need money to develop the East African crude oil pipeline. We need money to do more exploitation responsibly.
With oil and gas protagonists vowing not to back down from the oil dream, where will Uganda get financing for these projects? Is the region and local demand sufficient to absorb the oil from Uganda's refinery should the West markets reject it on green grounds? Can the oil and gas players make the most of the current energy transition debate to spearhead sustainable growth? This is The Frontline. NBS Frontline.
A very good evening and welcome to this edition of the NBS Frontline. My name is Hon.Ssemujju Nganda. I know the country has its eyes locked onto the Kampala-Masaka Road, especially the area around Luera, Katonga area, which has been cut off by water, flooding. There's a lot of debate going on about that. There is also intense discussion about the state of security in the country following two killings that happened, including of Minister Colonel Charles Engola. He'll be laid to rest in his home area on Saturday. And a national funeral service was held yesterday. And interesting comments from the president, placing responsibility and other speakers. And of course, that morning continues. For the people of Kijura, where his killer, who also committed suicide immediately after killing him, are also asking, what is the fate of our son? Will the body be returned to us? Can we bury him? There are many questions to be asked. Why did he shoot? Why did he commit suicide? Those questions are there. And of course, the killing of, the murder of the vlogger, they call him vlogger, Alexis Ichuli, or Jaja Ichuli. Those questions are still ongoing, but let's discuss Uganda's oil project. The countdown is on. We're promised that in 2025, Uganda will pump out fast oil. It's a double project that aims at pumping out crude and exporting it through a pipeline to the coast and exporting that, and also refining oil in Uganda. What is going on with those two projects? Are we still on course? Is it still viable? Many stories about funding, especially for EACOP. And if you don't export crude, then the oil refinery project gets compromised in a way. To discuss that with me tonight, I have regular frontliners. Let me start with Ofono Opondo, Executive Director at the Uganda Media Center. Very nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening to all our viewers.
I have from Kira Municipality, from the Forum for Democratic Change, and the frontliner, the Honorable Hon.Ssemujju Nganda. Very nice to have you, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Does that forum still exist?
We'll discuss that at another opportunity.
If Ofono is still existing, why not?
Missing in action this evening, the Honorable Winnie Kiza from the Mountains of the Moon in Kasese District, also from the Alliance for National Transformation. But we have with us from the Uganda National Oil Company, it's actually the National Oil Company, NOC, Corporate Affairs Director. Is that the title, sir?
Legal and Corporate Affairs.
Legal and Corporate Affairs. Yes, Mr. Peter Mulisa. Very nice to have you.
Thank you. Good evening, viewers.
Peter, I want to come straight to you. There are many questions emerging. Before I come to you on that, forgive me. Let me get a quick comment from Hon.Ssemujju Nganda on some of the things that have been happening, and Ofono Opondo, and then we'll come to the oil project. The murders, the security situation, you ask questions in Parliament. I don't know if you're getting answers. I saw you commenting yesterday. You're asking questions about how Ugandans are reacting to death these days and actually celebrating death. And you had quite a few strong views.
The president, after the murder, especially of Honorable Abiriga, he outlined measures to deal with those murders. In fact, he had a closed session with Parliament, and those measures included the return of LDUs, because the earlier batch of local defense unit was absorbed, I think, by the military. They were actually recruited, money was requested. The cameras, the fingerprinting of guns, etc. And then later on, because almost all the earlier murders were being blamed on ADF, we went into Democratic Republic of Congo, and we were told we can now celebrate because ADF has been downgraded. This particular murder of this social media guy is one that takes us almost square one. That someone can either waylay or can walk and lay cover at a residence and kill someone, and he goes unnoticed even by the cameras. Very big investment that we made as a country. So the president owes us an explanation. In fact, for me, what I want to hear, the responsible security officers from the lowest police unit and the internal security unit to those who are manning the cameras, I want an explanation from them if they slept on job. Because someone cannot be killed just here in Chanja, and you are unable to at least have a preliminary report on the suspect. Because what are those cameras for? It also raises questions where all the murders, as we are told, committed by ADF, because ADF became an explanation for every murder. And every murder is followed by the arrest of some Muslims of a particular mosque. So we are all concerned that someone can go and murder and then he goes away. None of the prominent murders has been resolved as of yet. Yet each time arrests are made. In fact, the one of Kawes was the most dramatic, they arrested more than 100 people, as if there was a meeting by the suspect somewhere in a stadium to go and murder Kaweesi, including, by the way, one of those who was charged was in prison. They retrieved him at the time of murder.
I remember the composite images that were developed at that time. Let me put the question to Hon.Opondo briefly, because we need to go back to the main subject of discussion tonight. The country has invested heavily in the Safe City project, which put cameras everywhere. During the leadership of General Kale Kaihura, there was talk about what are they called? What he described as moving CCTV cameras of
crime preventers.
Yes. We have invested heavily, the president, yes, like he reminds us, in fingerprinting of guns. But we still see murders and people disappear in thin air. The president introduced the use of the word pigs as being responsible for the killings of these people when he visited the family of the late Kaweesi. That was in 2017. Up to this day, he's still using pigs have killed, we shall find them. But the ones that killed Kaweesi haven't been brought to book. The ones that killed Abiriga haven't been brought to book. The ones that killed Muhammad Chirumira, one was acquitted the other day. The ones that killed Joan Kagezi haven't been brought to book. The ones that killed Muslim clerics, that were shooting down Muslim clerics, haven't been brought to book. What exactly is going on?
Well, even the most advanced country, by technology, by financial resources, by technical expertise, that would admire most, the United States. You have seen mass murders almost on a daily basis in the least expected places, schools, by toddlers, by adults who have become deranged, by parents. In the United States, I think last month, there was a case where somebody abducted someone and has taken 3 years. They haven't found him. Croatia, a week ago or so, it took 2 weeks or 3. And remember, there had been murder again, mass murder, like a week before. So the same person, allegedly. In our case, yes, there are security cameras, but we have explained, the police has explained, that due to some other issues, technical, sometimes the cameras may be disabled, may be non-functional. Case in point, you remember the accident that took place in Akawa Highway. The police came out and said at that time there was no power to run the camera, and apparently the backup system is weak. So quite often, maybe we have physically the cameras, but they are non-functional. The second issue could be technical capacity of the officers that are manning. Have we given them adequate technical skills to look into the cameras? But generally speaking, the type of murders that occurred in 2017, 2018 are no longer the ones that are taking place. These ones are now isolated far in between. I want to give you my own example at the media center. A journalist of Radio 1, Mr. Kisereko, a formal press conference, he put his bicycle in our compound. By the end of the press conference, usually we get between 40 and 50 media people. Sometimes, because of the way we deal with the media, you may not strictly check everyone. And by the end of the press conference, the bicycle was not there. And I actually have 7 cameras. When we went to look, the good thing is that we discovered it quickly. When we went to look at it, the person had actually walked in with a jacket and put on his. So we failed to trace. We used the police system.
So someone walked into the media center, stole a bicycle during the day?
Yes, during the press conference. All about a week and a half ago. I don't know which minister was there. A journalist again came with his motorcycle. He parked at the gate. Facing that gate, there is a 360 camera. Again, at the end of the press conference, the journalist went to pick his motorcycle.
It had disappeared.
It had disappeared. Again, when we went to check, the person had covered. It was a man, had covered. So we couldn't.
So
and then we have the police. So
you were irresponsible.
No, that's what I'm saying. The technical capacity. We have police officers 24/7 at any one time. But we have failed. We saw the figure for when we looked at the footage, but the police has failed
But
to give
what
us.
does this say
Now,
to the billions of money
No,
that has been poured into
I think
into that project?
we invested in hardware. We haven't invested sufficiently and in a targeted way in the software of the camera, of the CCTV. In this,
Do you remember the comments that the president made when there was an attack on General Katumba Wamala?
Yes, I remember. So,
Especially in respect to the CCTV cameras and how they're being managed.
yes, I have sometimes when these incidences happen, I actually go. Sometimes the police people take me, and actually you can see that there is not sufficient technical capacity, the software issues.
So
I think that compromises the proper identification of suspects. But also, there are areas that are black spots. And the police has said this, that you may see a camera, but it's not well focused. Again, that goes back either to the technical capacity of the camera or the installation and proper servicing. Now, personally, I did not know Ishuli. I never, I'm very active on Twitter. I'm not very active on Facebook. I'm not active on the bloggers and so on. I'd never heard about him. It was a surprise to me. It was that after his killing was when I went back to try and see, because people were making comments of what he had just said about Colonel Charles Nganda. Then I said, but even if he had said so, why would anybody? But we wait for the police. Hopefully, they will find the killers. We live in the world. We live in hope, in positive.
Okay.
You are the religious people. I am not. You believe that Jesus died for you, and He's going to return. 2,000 plus years, He hasn't returned, but we still have hope. The majority of mankind have hope that Jesus will eventually return.
We will not go into that for now. Let's bring this back, but we'll dedicate a little bit more time later, a minute on another occasion, to discuss security, and especially that investment, which I think is over 200 billion in the Safe Cities project, to put up these cameras. The question is, the president has used the words kawukumi in police. Are they actually there? Do these killers know the weaknesses that Ofono Pondo is talking about now and take advantage of them? Mr. Peter Mulisa, sorry to have diverted to that, but I think it's important. And of course, our hearts go out to the people traveling that Western Uganda route. And police has been warning since morning, and Uganda National Roads Authority, use different routes. Don't risk going on that road, because I think by this evening it had completely broken. Yes, and we have had some landslides in mountainous areas in Kabale, Kisoro, Kasese, and other areas where people have died and lives have been disrupted. Let's go back to the, Ofono talks about living in hope. We are living in hope with Uganda's first oil. 2025, are we still on course for that deadline?
Thank you, Charles. And good evening once again to our viewers. Yes, we are still set to deliver first oil in 2025, as promised. And it's really scientific. It's about constructing, drilling, and getting the crude oil out. We have a schedule, and we have activities that must be attained at a particular point to achieve this schedule. And I can confidently say that we are on course. Early this year, we did spudding, which is the commencement of drilling in the Vuka Flats in Kingfisher, Chikube district. Kingfisher will produce about 40,000 barrels of crude per day at peak production. So that drilling started. There are 3 well pads. We have started on well pad 2. And as I speak now, we have 2 rigs being assembled in Telenga. Telenga is the oil fields in Bulisa and Noya. One is nearly complete, and the second one is we've started rigging it up. And we'll have a third one in the same area. So we'll have 3 rigs in Tilenga and 1 in Kingfisher. 2 are in place in Tilenga. 1 is already drilling in Kingfisher. For the crude oil pipeline, we have...
Before you go away from the padding and the drills, yes, the spudding and the drills that are already on ground, you said Kingfisher would produce 40,000 barrels per day. What about Tilenga? The 3 drills would produce how much?
So Tilenga will produce 190,000. So together it is 230 with an upside of 240,000 barrels per day potential. So yes, we are on course on those 2 projects, Tilenga and Kingfisher. So to just break it down, Tilenga and Kingfisher are the 2 projects that will extract crude oil from the ground and bring it to the surface. But crude must be taken to the market for utilization. So that's why we have the East African crude oil pipeline. And for the East African crude oil pipeline, it's a linear project where we're going to lay pipes to transport the crude. We've ordered for the pipes. We've placed the orders and signed contracts for those pipes. We have started on operations in Tanzania at the terminal in Tanga. We have a coating plant still in Tanzania. It's also under construction as we speak. On the Ugandan side, we are completing acquisition of land. We've acquired the areas where we shall gather materials and have camps. And once we have the people relocated, as we've given most of them notice to vacate, we'll start the civil works to open up the pipeline route, and we start the construction of the pipeline. So we are confident that with the achievements so far, and with the schedule that we have and the activities that are planned through this year and next year, we should be able to achieve first oil in 2025.
Where do you gain your confidence from, with all the stories circulating in the media, especially internationally and regionally, about the funding problems to the ECOP? First, it was, and we did discuss it with you here on the show, when the European Union Parliament passed that resolution. And you said, you assured Ugandans that the project is on course, the financing for it is available or had been secured.